It's a beautiful sunny day at the Hero Champions Trophy. We are at the Kalinga Stadium in Bhubaneswar. The first of the quarterfinals, Netherlands versus Pakistan. The first champions ever of the Champions Trophy up against the team which replaced them. These are all the games that will take place. Just to let you know that all those timings mentioned are in local time, Indian Standard Time. So wherever you are, Argentina, Australia, England, Germany, Belgium, or indeed in India, just make sure that you adjust your watches accordingly and make sure that you catch all the action. But this will be the first of those big games. Netherlands, of course, winning Pool B in spite of their defeat in the last encounter, which was incidentally also the last pool encounter. Thrilling game, 3-2 loss at the hands of the home side Indians. And Pakistan, meanwhile, still searching for their first points. But what a huge upset it could turn out to be if they do get those points today, or if they get that elusive victory today. Familiar colours, some familiar faces. Mink van der Weerden there, joint top scorer. Robert van der Horst, the only one in this squad who knows what it's like to win the Champions Trophy back in 2006. Netherlands in orange, the green shirts as they're called, Pakistan in green, their familiar colours. And first of all, we will stand by for the national anthems of the two countries.
Ladies and gentlemen, standing for the national anthem of Pakistan.
Netherlands, of course, finalists, losing finalists to Australia in the last edition of the Champions Trophy back in 2012 in Melbourne, losing out after extra time 2-1 to the home side Australia, who have had a vice-like grip on this title. Pakistan were bronze medalists in that edition, beating arch rivals India themselves. These two teams also met in the semi-final on that occasion. Netherlands ran out 5-2 winners. This is their lineup as well as the substitutes. Jaap Stockman, their number one, returns to goal. He's also one of the FIH Goalkeeper of the Year nominees. And Seve Farnas has had a good tournament, as has Jeroen Hertzberger, not yet added to his 68 international goals. Will be itching to do that in today, his 153rd cap for Netherlands. Coached by this man, Max Caldas, Argentinian by birth, polyglot by nature, does speak across a lot of languages, and that helps him communicate, no doubt, with his wards as well as sometimes his opposition players. The Pakistan lineup for today, winless yet in this Hero Champions Trophy, but some impressive performances in the last game. Their man of the match was Mohammad Rizwan Senior. It's a special day for their number 6, Rashid Mahmood, who plays his 100th game in a Pakistan shirt, and out of the 18 members in the squad becomes only the 7th player to get to 100 caps. This man just stopped short of 100 but was a legendary player in his own time. Sheikh Shahnaz hasn't had any success as yet in this tournament, but this will be a good time to get that first victory on the board. Familiar foes in this particular format, and these will be the men officiating. Eduardo Lizana of Spain is one of the umpires, and he'll be joined by Andrew Kennedy across the other side of the pitch, and Gareth Greenfield of New Zealand will be the video umpire for this huge encounter. The first knockout match of the Hero Champions Trophy, where the best of the best have been taking each other on. We've seen 3 exciting match days of action, 12 matches, 53 goals, a very healthy average of close to 4.5 per game, and that has made for some fabulous action across all days. Stockman back in goal, replacing Perman Black, who did blame himself for the 3rd goal that he conceded of a penalty corner to the Indians in that last game, which the Dutch will want to completely put out of their memory bank. The umpires are not yet completely satisfied with things. Just a quick concentration there by the reserve umpire, Fernando Gomez. Possibly just a little technical glitch, but a good time for me, Divine Sen, to bring in my co-commentator for this one, former GBR Olympian and former goalkeeper, Simon Mason.
Good morning, Dubai, and looking forward to this game. We thought it was going to get underway a few moments ago, but the umpires just sorting out their radios to make sure their communication is good. The Dutch so far this tournament, we've seen they've been fluid and exciting, but India in that last pool game just took away a little bit of that fluidity. They took away the sting with some more discipline and structure. Pakistan we expected to get rolled over by Australia. They showed some of that structure, and in doing so, if they can just hang on, get into this game, then they may well find themselves with an opportunity. But early Dutch goals could be a real problem for them.
Yes, indeed. And also the first game in the morning session, or rather the afternoon session for the Dutch, as they are the ones who push things back. It's a very humid day, we can tell you that. It's 24 degrees Celsius at the Kalinga Stadium, but a relative humidity of 69%, which is making it feel closer to 30 degrees. Pakistan in green are going from right to left, and away to the left, defending their goal, are the Dutch in orange. Fantastic record for both teams in the history of this competition, but they have been traditionally big powerhouses. Pakistan have slipped somewhat in their huge standards, but of course a bronze medal finish at the last Champions Trophy would make one suggest, and a few players in the squad from that particular finish as well. They could do well today. This is Rogier Hoffman, who has been one of the splendid players for this Dutch team. Almost found Constantine Jonker.
Jonker leading on his reverse, just loses his footing. These corners are a little bit slippery in the first parts of the game when there's a lot of water on the turf. It evaporates so quickly they have to put a decent amount on there for the beginning of the game. So as Jonker's tried to take that ball out on his backhand, as his feet rotate, he's only on the tips of his toes to try and spin, and that means that his feet just go away from underneath him.
Played upfield, picked up in the middle of the pitch. And the umpire just for a brief while playing advantage before finally blowing the whistle in favor of Seve van As. Now Mink van der Weerden. Looks like he's just had a little trim to the beard, but nevertheless looks ferocious, especially when he goes for his penalty corners. Kemperman on to van der Weerden. Nearly finding Hertzberger, but just that first touch allowing Pakistan to steal the ball for the first time. They don't keep it for very long, eventually conceding a free hit.
And the Dutch have gone to a back three already, just one man deep on the back of the pitch. Divine leading back through midfield to offer a centre-half opportunity. And even more so, Van der Weerden's able to get up the right-hand side to offer some support as Van der Horst loops through the midfield. And it's that constant rotation of players that makes it so difficult, not only for Pakistan, but for any opponent to set a significant press against the Dutch, because it's continual rotation of players.
Best exemplified by the fact that Sander Baard, who plays normally in the heart of defense, happily joining in attack. Here he is, taking the sideline ball. Does love to get up forward. Mink van der Weerden, perhaps the only one who normally wouldn't stroll up unless there is a free hit or another set piece. Of course, he's quite a specialist from the penalty corners. Now this has been lobbed up, looking for Dilber. He's up against van der Weerden. Well defended.
Very well defended. Dilber didn't ever really move the ball anywhere. He waited for Van der Weerden to commit to forehand or backhand.
just allowing Pakistan, or rather Netherlands, to escape from a possibly dangerous situation had Dilbar picked up the ball and done a little bit more with it. This is Hertzberger. Got some support alongside him, was looking up, was looking to release the ball, eventually was impeded, and that's why there's a free hit here for the Dutch. Very close to the 25-yard line, almost getting in. This is the captain, the vastly experienced Imran. He's the one who releases this ball, looking for Waqas. Back with the Dutch, lots and lots of possession in these early moments. Sevef Anas almost finding that ball for Hertzberger.
And it's those little linkages that have worked for the Dutch so far through the tournament, and then the Indians just stopped it by putting real pressure on the ball carrier. They protected the line to goal well so that there wasn't an opportunity for the Dutch to go route one. In doing so, it just slowed down the play of the orange shirts, and then they didn't have as many options. If Pakistan can see that, they'll have watched the video and understand that defensive structure, they'll do well to replicate it.
This is Hertzberger. Yes, it's worth reminding also that while Netherlands had 2 goals in that match, both came off penalty corners. So if you block out that option, then there is a possibility of stopping the marauding Dutchmen. Normally like to go for their field goals, have some great strikers of ability. At the moment, keeping the ball to themselves. Also worth reminding that there will be a tiebreaker should the scores be tied at the end of the 60 minutes. 4 quarters of 15 minutes each. Now this is Holland's first possible opportunity, an opening and a great goal! Fine finish here on Hertzberger. Has finally scored his first of this competition, and it is in the end quite a simple finish, a simple looking finish, but he did very well there.
Yeah, the overhead ball was a great takedown. Pakistan impeded the 5 yards, and Hertzberger just drove, cutting across, little left to right dinks, and once again, unfortunately, Imran Butt in gold finds his form of 2 games ago as opposed to 1 game ago. 2 games ago, somewhat sieve-like, and that's not a great start for him because Hertzberger finds the gap between his feet. Needed to be more stationary to effect a good save.
The Netherlands, with their very first productive circle penetration, have allowed themselves to go up front, and this can be a danger sign for the Pakistanis. One doesn't have to cast one's mind too far back. As Simon mentioned, the form from 2 games ago, because that was the game against England where they conceded 8 goals for what was their 2nd worst defeat ever in the history of the Champions Trophy.
To give the goalkeeper credit, he then came out against Australia and played very, very well and did the simple things well. My concern is the understanding of how the attacker is moving against you. The coach will tell you as an attacker, if you can keep moving 2 or 3 phases, the defenders start to get onto a back foot and they have to reach and stretch into the tackle. As a defender, what you want to try and do is stop Hertzberger in that case, drifting across the circle left to right as he did. Make him stop and turn, because as soon as he is stationary, then you can reach into the tackle, jab the ball away, and the goalkeeper can set himself. That consistent movement. So we watch here as Hertzberger goes, he just keeps going, so he cuts inside, goes on backhand and then comes forehand. He does the same again, and because it's consistent movement, he has the space and the goalkeeper has to move across the goal and is never settled to make a save.
Well, the sign of a good team is one where different goals can come across from different players. And so he becomes the 7th goal scorer for Netherlands in this competition. Now this time moving forward again, and the first penalty corner. This is really threatening to come apart from Pakistan. Cannot afford to make these errors in defense, so whether of open play or to concede penalty corners as they've done here.
Yeah, and we had a quick conversation. As Kemperman drives in, there was the suggestion that it was outside the circle. I'm a little bit surprised. That to me is horribly backstick, but the backstick suggests it was outside the circle, unless it's been given as a deliberate offence. There's no foot, no hand. You can only assume that's been given as a deliberate offence outside the circle, which is why a penalty corner's been awarded.
Also, the team hasn't gone for a referral at all, so there will be an opportunity here Henk van der Verden will be fancying his chances of getting his fourth. Oh, that was close.
Who saved that? Is that the lineman with a flashing stick? That's an unbelievable save on the line. So nonchalant. I'm not sure Mohammad Imran even saw it.
The value of experience, 225 caps before today for the 35-year-old captain. One of the oldest players in this Hero Champions Trophy, and just showing why he's invaluable to the team. Does a terrific job right in defense, and has also scored from a penalty stroke in their opening encounter against Belgium. Now here they come. Umar Bhutta on to Tausik. Waqas somehow did manage to get his way across to the ball, but just didn't know too much about it.
Oh, Waqas, I think, was actually protecting his head rather than trying to take the ball down. But that's twice so far in these early exchanges that Pakistan have managed to find a space behind the Dutch defence so that there's then a one-on-one opportunity. And I feel the Pakistani ability to eliminate in those one-on-one situations is good enough to ensure that the Dutch need to just play a second man in that defensive line. Well, it looks like Nick van der Schoot has picked up a green card.
Confirmation of that, the very first card in this first quarter-final, where the first goal has already come to the Netherlands, who still are on the ball, and in spite of that man advantage for Pakistan, putting a lot of pressure here. Looking to come forward again, Hoffman, getting some support from Khelema, one of the young players who came with the youth squad at the Junior World Cup last year.
Nice little, just soft touch from Kemperman back to Van der Veerde, showing understanding, but more than that, really soft hands. There's good ball speed from Hoffman. There's beautiful touch on the ball.
Oh, that's a good ball through as well. And Jonker, who got a goal in one of the previous games, has done well, almost cutting it back for his teammate Fanas, who was in a good position, but good decisive goalkeeping from Imran, but well supported by his defenders.
Jonker, I think, took it one step too far. Now he needed to throw the pass off his right foot. By going under his arm, it meant Imran Butt could get into a position where he was able to effect a stop, and Tasawwur Abbas was able to support him.
Kashif on to Irfan, who's also got one of the goals. The only penalty corner conversion by Pakistan in this Hero Champions Trophy. Must be said, they have been the most generous defense. Sheikh Shanaz won't be pleased with that. 14 goals conceded, including today's, and they have also been, in terms of scoring, one of the poorest. Only Germany have scored fewer than that. Would you believe that? 2 for Germany, 3 for Pakistan.
I wouldn't believe that from a German perspective, but watching how they've played, the opportunities they've created is far greater than the conversion rate, and that would be one of German coach Marcus Weiss's biggest issues, is that the structure is reasonably sound, but the outcomes are quite poor. The Pakistani structure has been different. It's been a lot more one-on-one eliminations to create the attacking opportunities, and they have been few and far between.
This is the captain, Van der Horst. Every time he gets on the ball, looks completely like an assured presence. Wins a free hit here, spinning around the defense. Wealth of experience, one of those players on the ball now. Sevefanas, oh, nearly finding Hertzberger. Was looking for a second of the match. He's the big man, isn't he? Henk van der Verden. So often at the center of most big things that the Dutch do, especially when it comes to set pieces. Have only had one opportunity thus far, one penalty corner, and a fantastic save from captain Mohammad Imran.
Yeah, well, it was Van der Verden's favourite corner. He loves bringing that into his feet and then flicking it out off his wrist. They were the 2 that he scored in the last game against India, both in exactly the same place. If he gets given that channel, the runner is not forcing him the other way. It makes it very easy for him.
Coming down the middle was Shafqat Rasool, who incidentally turned 26 yesterday, and his team could do with a good birthday gift for him. A victory over Netherlands would be right up there in terms of what he would have wanted on his wish list. Kemperman.
It's a lovely little return from Havenga as Kemperman goes forward yet again, started at centre-back, rolled through the midfield with a 1-2 and then rolls up into the forward line. It makes it hard for the green shirts to track him because it's unlikely that a centre-forward is going to come all the way back with that centre of defence.
Pakistan crowding the midfield in particular, making it difficult for Netherlands in that sense to move through, but does open up the option of using the flanks, which when Netherlands have done thus far in this match, it has looked quite dangerous.
It has. Rizwan Senior picking up the most obvious of green cards as the Dutch take a free hit quickly, and he could all have been about 2 yards away from the ball. Needed greater personal discipline and awareness there.
This was well worked by Van Aert, getting some support there from Hoffman as well. Eventually comes off a Pakistan foot just outside the D, and this has been sent in. Van der Horst was looking for one of his strikers. There's confirmation of the card for Mohammad Rizwan Senior. Who's one of those players who has more than 100 caps. Of course, it's worth repeating that the skipper has over 200, as does Mohammad Waqas. So no shortage of experience in that sense, but a young squad, number of players playing pretty much their first major event. And also remembering the fact that in 2014 they haven't played the World Cup. They also didn't send a team for the Commonwealth Games. From that perspective, this Hero Champions Trophy, a great opportunity to pick up some valuable experience, never mind the results. Sandebart. On down the right to Schumann.
Been relatively quiet this tournament, Sherman. You would expect from a right defender to be a little bit more up and back, running wing back really in this modern game. Try and create opportunities working with the midfield, and we just haven't seen him get into that role. It's more when here Robert van der Horst starts to roll up the right hand side that there's more outcomes.
And that is exactly what happens. Van der Horst passes it over beautifully. Now moving through to the left, looking for that channel. There is a man there in defense though, and it's quite nicely done by Ahmad Shakil, but just averting danger at the last moment.
As Van der Horst is taking over from Schumann on that right-hand side, tucks inside beautifully, and then little lift, finds Hoffman in the middle of the pitch. Hoffman played to Nick van der Schoot, and Van der Schoot's pass into the circle was a little wayward. Otherwise, the Netherlands were in for another goal-scoring opportunity.
Well, this Netherlands lineup has two players among them. One of them is their skipper, Van der Horst, and Robert Kemperman, who are also nominees for the FIH Player of the Year. So that tells you that they have had a good 2014, and it looks like it might just get better in this quarter-final. First 15 minutes, the first quarter coming to an end here at Kalinga Stadium, Bhubaneswar. The scoreline at the end of it, it's Netherlands 1, Pakistan 0. Well, it looked like the only goal has come in from Jeroen Hertzberger, and it did seem that they were the more likely team to score. And also remember that they had this fabulous penalty corner, which was beautifully saved. Incredible save from Mohammad Imran. But Ming van der Weert, the other man in picture, will be fancying his chances of registering his name on the score sheet, which, if he does, will take him past Sam Ward, with him who he shares currently the top goal scorers title in this Hero Champions Trophy. Pakistan, meanwhile, have shown little glimpses of some surety, but just need to get a little bit more cohesion, especially in midfield, if they want to pose a bigger threat for the Dutch. Some words of wisdom coming in from both sets of coaches. On one side, Max Caldas, on the other, Sheikh Shehnaz for Pakistan, who trail currently by 1-0. Familiar foes in the Champions Trophy, 35th meeting between the two of them. Pakistan have won 7 of those matches, Netherlands 21. And Simon, to go back to the last Pakistan victory over Netherlands in this competition, one needs to go back to 1998. So it's been a while. Today would be as good a day, but considering how much Netherlands have perhaps dominated possession, Pakistan won't be all too displeased with just a 1-goal deficit at the moment.
I agree they may not be displeased, however, they haven't really created enough to trouble the Dutch so far.
Yes, it could have been 2-0 down, but for Mohammad Imran.
And this is a brilliant save. Van der Veerden doing what he does best. He has no idea, Imran, that the ball is there. His eyes are focused, he's flinched and pulled his stick up. Brilliant save and kept the Pakistanis in it.
The second quarter begins, and it is with the team which is leading at the moment at the Kalinga Stadium in Bhubaneswar. Will be no doubt smarting after the result more than anything else. They did put in tremendous effort against the Indians, but were outsmarted for the first time in this Hero Champions Trophy. Now this is looking like a promising move from Pakistan. A couple of touches and Pakistan get the goal. It's beautifully converted by Umar Bhutta. Before that, there was a fortuitous touch from defense, and that set it up on a platter for him, and he was not one to look a gift horse in the mouth.
Was the overhead yet again that we suggested in the first quarter was troubling the Dutch. That's a lovely touch to cut in across. Yes, it is. It's a save off Mink van der Veerden in the first instance before Bhutta manages to put it in the back. It is a great save from your own defender because the first cross was from inside the circle. That's a lovely pick of Stapman's stick. However, there is nothing he can do about the follow-up. Pakistan troubling the Dutch overheads.
Well, the value of keeping it tight at your own end, because there will be goal-scoring opportunities, and if you do pounce on them, then you can afford to put pressure. The question, though, is how will the Dutch respond? One would think that there will now be a little bit more aggression, as if there wasn't enough before from the Dutch. But this will give a huge fillip to the Pakistan team to start the second quarter with a goal.
Absolutely, and they are a team that play on that aggression and confidence and momentum, and they'll want to step forwards. It gives them proof that the tactics of throwing those overheads work, and they can just play off the back of that. Up until that moment, they really had achieved nothing going forward, so they had nothing to feed off. Now they're right back in this.
Only the 5th goal conceded by the Dutch in this Hero Champions Trophy, 3 of which came against India, so they have been very tight in defense. And this now means that England have had the most miserly of defenses, only 4 goals conceded by them. They will be in action against Germany in the 3rd quarter-final of the day, but at the moment, Pakistan back on level terms. Now with a little bit more confidence, Ahmad looking to take this ball away from Khelema, does well. Long ball intercepted by Van der Veerden. Here come the Dutch, though. But not quite the orange wave just as yet in this second quarter. This is a favourite tactic of theirs. Van der Veerden slaps it in hard, looks for a deflection. It does come off a Pakistan stick. A mode of scoring which has been preferred by the Dutch in the past, even in this championship. And it could be said that it has been replicated by a few other teams across the board.
Yeah, that long ball in, it's been effective when teams have got it in this sort of channel, the left midfield channel, and then slapped it in with open hands to create the disguised pass. The Dutch are using all of the space, and in the end, down onto that bottom right-hand side for Van der Linden as he gets it across the goal.
Yes, looking for possibly a foot or an obstruction inside the D, but it does go out for a long corner.
So Andrew Kennedy has shown a yellow card for an issue down in front of the bench. So Shakil Butt in front of the bench has done something to get the umpire, catch the umpire's eye. This is the passage of play. Van der Linden getting the ball across the circle. There is absolutely no danger there, and it's off the ball just after that. Andrew Kennedy. So Pakistan down to 9 outfield players because of that lack of discipline from the Pakistani front line.
Don't want to do that, especially when they've just scored a goal. What they need to do is build on that kind of performance, not put themselves under unnecessary pressure. But this is Mohammad Dilbar. Not too many Dutch defenders back there. He's going on his own, gets some support now, and uses the option down the right. It's the goal scorer, Umar Bhutta. Got some support as well. Can they get in for their second? In the end, sweeping it through was Waqas.
Well, that's Pakistan 5 on 5, but the Dutch can now break because Pakistan can't get back. So we've now got 3 on 3, and 3 on 4. The green shirts are back.
Well, how much they would have wanted Shakil Butt, because this can turn dangerous Jonker is in there. Jonker inside the D is always a dangerous proposition. Does win a free hit for his team as well. And will they go in once again for that long sweep? Perhaps not the same distance, but nevertheless might just be the same idea.
Well, now they might. Sorry,
Yes.
now they might do one because they've changed the angle and it's off that left-hand side. It's easier to disguise a pass, to open it across your feet and slide it left to right, and that's where the deflection goals have come from.
And it was sent straight to Van der Weyden, as it does again. This time he sweeps it out to the right. Havenga is first to it. Quick exchange, gets the ball back. This is Van der Weyden. Very important now for Netherlands to try and control the tempo as they did in the first quarter, major parts of it at least. This is Ali Shan winning the battle of the number 17s. Here he goes, getting some support up front from Bhutta. Rizwan, Ali Shan is inside the box. Dilbar is in there as well.
Sandabat leading across the Pakistani forward to deflect the ball away to safety, which allows Kemperman to then come forwards. His eyes are up all the time as he carries the ball, looking for his forwards, making sure that he can make those contact passes before he gets near to a defender. He doesn't want to be trying to force the ball through somebody.
And in the meantime, some excellent defending once again from the skipper Imran, just making sure that he gave no room for Jonker to work with. That's why it went out for a sideline ball. Still is with the Dutch though, as they look to build on something down the left now. It is Robert van der Horst. He's got some great room to move around with, but well done. Imran Butt had to get his dancing shoes on and did them pretty well.
And a big long stretch and left kicker from Imran Butt to prevent Robert van der Horst, who has been busy. That's the angled ball that the Dutch have done so effectively, not making its way through defence this time.
But they could be vulnerable on the counter. Not too many defenders back. Oh, that needed to be a more precise ball from Ali Shan. That's perhaps those little moments where the relative lack of experience of some of the players could come back and haunt Pakistan. But they've done well to get themselves back into this contest. Not won against Netherlands in this competition since the 4th of November 1998 in Lahore. Round Robin League, where they won 5-3. Possession decisively in favour of the Dutch, as also the circle penetrations. And, not surprisingly, the shots. But Pakistan have made that one shot count.
Well, this is the problem that Pakistan now have with a man down. They're being forced so far back. They can't leave one of their forwards high to give an out ball. So they're just sinking further and further back. Van der Weyden can play as a defensive pivot. Again, we've now got more cards coming out. Green card this time. Andrew Kennedy keeping an eye for off-the-ball issues. Pakistan outfield now down to 8. There's holding in the circle or some kind of contact.
Yes, looks like Rizwan Jr. And that'll mean that while Ahmad Shakil Butt will come back at some stage soon, but they will still be down to now 9 outfield players even after his return.
For the Dutch to capitalise, what they now need to do is increase the ball speed. They need to put an extra ounce of power into the passes, particularly the lateral ones, because then Pakistan will not be able to cover the ground sideways to deny the passes into the circle.
Well, this is being well worked, and it is Van der Horst. Has he found a foot? Yes, he has, but not quite inside the D. That's why he'll have to just get back to the edge of the dotted line. Self-pass to get things moving, looking to slap it in with a lot of power, but picked up by the Pakistanis. For them, it is at the moment looking a bit like a battle of attrition, but they'll be happy to fight it out till they get all their outfield players back. Well, it's a very humid day. There's a green card for Jonker as well, so just a little bit of a temporary disadvantage for the Netherlands too. How much of a factor could that play here, Simon, considering that the Dutch wouldn't have encountered these sort of conditions too much? We'll talk about that after this chance. Still across the dotted line, scooping it up, looking for Martin Havenga. One down the left, well controlled, Hertzberger.
Good bit of defending from Quadir on the baseline, because Hertzberger was looking for that quick first touch onto a foot to create a penalty corner opportunity.
Now this is the captain, Robert van der Horst, with a lovely ball, but first to that was the skipper again, his rival number, Mohammad Imran.
He's playing at the heart of that Pakistan defence, as he does, but effectively today policing the lines behind the defence in front of him, just so that if there are half chances that bobble, he can try and get there first. Often it's that second phase ball when it's played in hard, it bobbles loose and it's the first team to react to it. Who's ready for that next chance?
This is being well worked by the Dutch. Again, moving dangerously in was number 6 there, Glenn Schumann, but again, just wasn't able to finish off the job there. Mohammad Imran is doing a terrific job, almost like a centre-back would in soccer, just making sure that he sticks to whoever is being sent up by Holland as the lone striker, just making sure that he stays there as his shadow.
And looking down below us, I think we've got all the players back on, so the structure might start to go back to what is expected by both teams. There won't be quite as much space. You asked earlier on what effect I felt it might have. I mean, the humidity here is so high today that it's going to start to take its toll as the game progresses. That'll be the big issue. And the problem with Pakistan is they haven't rotated their substitutes in key positions as much during the course of this competition. The captain, for example, I haven't seen him come off for a single minute, and that I don't think he's conditioned enough to cope with game after game after game. And it'll only be a fractional difference between him and other players, but that fractional distance at the end of knockout games like this may be an issue.
Absolutely no looking back from here. Of course, our teams will be back even after they lose for classification matches. So that's not what you look for at this stage or at this level. The 8 of the best teams, the best of the best, as we call them. Just taking a little bit of a breather.
Having said that, we've not seen him take a breather at any point in this competition, and he's promptly sitting down having a breather.
But this has been sent in, and it was received as well. The second goal for Pakistan. Not quite.
Stick tackle. Stick tackle, deliberate stick obstruction in the middle of the circle. Very well seen by Andrew Kennedy. Robert van der Horst going over to say, well seen. The Dutch defence again, front marking, getting caught moving. There's the take, and all of a sudden you've got stick tackle because Pakistani forward in the middle of the circle. The first attempt at goal, there's nothing wrong with that. That he misses, that's dangerous. That's why it's been blown, and Waqas unable to take advantage with the first touch.
Well, it tells you about the unpredictability of this format as well as the sport. Pakistan possibly having the better of the gilt-edged opportunities thus far in this game as we approach close to half-time. Another green card this time for Prausha.
Cards coming thick and fast so fast. We can't spot why they're being given. You have to assume maybe there's a knocking the ball away or a quiet word about some sort of infringement.
And that's why since that Pakistan equalizer, both teams have just had the odd player being sent off for a few minutes in the sin bin, and that has perhaps impacted the flow of play, but nothing wrong with this move as it begins.
There's another overhead. Again they find space.
Beautiful.
Ball down the middle, ball down the middle. There's the cross field.
It's a chance, and it's well done by Stockman. Came out of his line. Rizwan almost sealed the deal there for Pakistan.
That's a super bit of goalkeeping, but it was the vision for the crossfield pass. I know we're calling it from up here, but we're 30 metres above the pitch and have a perfect view of everything. But the awareness of Pakistan midfield as they came through. That pass there to start with, pick up and shot. Stockman did well because he knew about it.
And those overhead balls have caught the Dutch defence napping on a few occasions, and that is exactly what they will need to watch out for the rest of this game. It is possibly a weakness which has been spotted by the Pakistanis, and make no mistake, the green shirts will look to exploit that more often in this game.
Well, you have to assume that that's the case because the outcomes have been consistent. I think they've thrown 4 or 5, and out of those 4 or 5, 3 or 4 forward chances. Now the Dutch are going a little bit longer. Van der Veerden got the chance to get it out to the left forward. Pakistan appear to be giving that pass there. They're quite happy to play a narrow zone in the middle of the pitch and give away the sidelines, try and shift the defence across behind the passers to deny it into the circle.
Once again down the left, looking to move in. What's also been impressive is in spite of crowding their D, they haven't conceded a single penalty corner in this second quarter. So there has been good discipline about their defensive work. Oh, as I say that came in quite dangerously. and could so easily have scored at the other end.
So here's the beautiful little overhead takedown. Now is the eyes up. It was the support running in the middle of the pitch there. That's a brilliant bit of running down the middle of the pitch to create the chance from Rizwan Senior.
It's also been played at a good pace this match, both quarters, in spite of the heat and humidity here in Bhubaneswar. Not so much the raw temperature. The sun is somewhat obscured by clouds at the moment, but it is very humid out there for all the players in the middle.
Pakistan have resorted to type slightly in terms of tactics, and that's not a bad thing. Historically and traditionally, they've always been renowned for playing effectively this 5-5 formation. A static back five, and then as soon as they get the ball, they throw it away to a midfield forward line. And the Dutch have conceded a corner in the last minute of this quarter two.
It could be quite the dream finish if they should get a second goal here. Have come close on a few occasions, and who would bet against it in this format? They have a few useful finishers.
Yeah, and it's a foot slightly inside the circle. It's the simplest of corner for Pakistan to win. Sander Devine not able to get his feet out the way. Just on the toes of his shoes. Now Pakistan haven't got an out-and-out flicker. Captain Mohammed Imran drags out the hook of his stick. Usually stays low if he goes for goal to the goalkeeper's right, or he delivers for deflections.
Well, he has support in the shape of Shafqat Rasool, but it will be the captain to go in for it, and he has converted as well. Jaap Stockman will be disappointed that he let that in, but it was hit quite usefully by Mohammad Imran, and suddenly Pakistan now have a 2-1 advantage in this match. Game on.
And it's exactly the sort of flick we talk about. In the hook of his stick and whip through. Stockman getting done underneath him. Nearly as bad as a nutmeg. He hasn't gone with his feet at all. He's tried to get his hands down by his right ankle. Unable to collapse on the ball enough. Imran doesn't have the power to really deliver into the corners, so he's just gone as hard as he can down the middle. Outcome.
Absolutely, and that has converted the complexion of this game from one that was looking like it could just go all Netherlands' way. Mind you, they still probably would have the lion's share of the possession in this match, but Pakistan have made the most of their chances, and that's what counts in a knockout situation. Currently leading by 2-1, but don't discount the Dutch at any stage whatsoever. That's what they're famous for. That's what they'll look to do here. Just a one-goal cushion for Pakistan, and that nearly ain't enough. Once again, moving forward into the D as well, looking for Yonker. Yonker has seen himself in some good positions, but on each occasion, Mohammad Imran, the goal scorer of the second for Pakistan, has been right by his side.
That's right, and as a unit they've played so well. I mean, when they go forward, yes, they've been throwing those overheads, but they stayed nice and tight. There was that moment when they went down to 8 outfield players that suddenly you were questioning what they were going to do, but they've got right back into it.
Fantastic entertainment on offer at the Kalinga Stadium in Bhubaneswar, where at half-time Pakistan have clawed back into this game. It's Netherlands 1, Pakistan 2. Fantastic effort in the second quarter in particular. 16th minute strike from Umar Bhutta, which was somewhat lucky for them in the sense that there was an attempted clearance from Meng van der Veerden. And right at the stroke of half-time, just a minute before, that man was beaten for the second time today. Jaap Stockman conceding a penalty corner conversion by Mohammad Imran, who notches up his second goal of this Hero Champions Trophy. Brilliant effort from the green shirts, but can they sustain it for the rest of the 30 minutes, which will be coming up shortly? They have definitely got the right results in the second quarter, but what matters in this four-quarter situation and system, and in a knockout game in particular, is that you need to maintain it, you need to come back, and come back refreshed both with mind and body and spirit. Half-time scoreline here, Netherlands 1, Pakistan 2. In the first quarter-final of the Hero Champions Trophy, of all halftime scores that you could have envisaged, this would probably not be right on top of the list. But Pakistan deserve a lot of credit for the way that they have fought back in the first half. Second quarter in particular belonging to them. 2 great goals scored from them. The first half began, of course, on a positive note. Simon Mason for the Netherlands.
A great takedown by Hertzberger, and he picked it up and drove through as he does so well. And a great strike under his arm with good body position, core strength to rotate, his shoulders towards the goal, pulling through to deliver a ferocious shot that I think Imran Butt should have done better with, but was kept moving.
The good thing was, unlike the game against England, Pakistan did not disintegrate after that. If anything, they picked up some steam.
They did indeed, and once again, it's an overhead ball that caused the danger. In off Mink van der Velde. Stockman, a great save off his own fullback, but Buta able to just knock that in. And then the corner underneath the goalkeeper. Stockman unable to get his hands to the floor quick enough. I think he should have gone with his right foot, but as a keeper, you are anticipating those big dives to the corners.
Well, these are the numbers, and they will suggest a superiority for Netherlands. But look at that. Circle penetrations just 5-4. Even though the possession has been almost 4 times for Netherlands in the opposition half, Pakistan have possibly done much better when they've had the ball, and that's why they are currently leading by 2-1. Well, Pakistan could have actually had a third goal as well. Almost finished this off, and just missing out perhaps because of the lack of experience.
Yeah, so Dusic looking to feed it in. All of a sudden it's in the circle, but just the finest of touches. Wakas missing out, could have gone into the circle, needed a little bit more composure, but the Dutch defensive line getting totally ball focused, and in doing so a little bit of a pass with some more awareness, and you're going to get a touch in from Dilbert on the far post. 2 green shirts behind the Dutch defence.
Well, with this kind of performance, one would imagine that the coach, Sheikh Shanaz, is quite pleased. He's down by pitch side with Michael Absalom.
Coach, first of all, let's get your reaction to that first half performance. 2-1 up.
I think that really my tournament is started today, you know, and I think the first half, you know, the score should be 3-1, you know, that I don't understand the third goal my boy scored, you know, but anyhow, we are playing a Pakistan attacking game, and I hope that they will repeat the same in the 30 minutes is coming. The first half they did it, you know.
How do you ensure that place in the semi-finals in the second half here? What do the boys have to go out and do?
No, I told my boy, you know, because of the, you know, then Pakistan, we have a little problem with the hockey, you know, and that match, you know, the winning is the revival of hockey in Pakistan. So the boy, they're playing for the glory, for the revival of Pakistan hockey, you know. I hope they will exhibit the same which they did in the first half, you know.
Everyone in Pakistan's rooting for you. Good luck in the second half.
I'm talking, you know, I told you that they should go for the attacking game and consolidate their lead, you know, that, and play, because Holland is a good side. He's the top #1 in the pool. So I think that my boy, you know, they have come out from the jank, you know, that, and they will do better, you know. That.
Okay. Good luck in the second half.
Thank you very much.
I think it's safe to say that's the first time that we've seen Sheikh Shanaz looking quite relieved with the way things have unfolded in this Hero Champions Trophy. Also the first time, I think, that I've seen him without a cap, although that might have to do with the humidity in Bhubaneswar as much as the scoreline, Simon.
Might have everything to do with the fact he's on TV. And he just decides what his best side is. But absolutely right from the coach is that he said this is where their tournament begins. And we criticised them earlier on in the tournament for being just slightly off the pace. And they've picked it up, and the crowds here are going to help sort of get that enthusiasm behind them and keep that momentum. So the 5-5 formation we've talked about, they can commit to and throw some players forwards.
I can promise you one thing, when India or Pakistan play a game of hockey, normally the fans of one country will always support the other, except the only exception, a very logical one, is when they're playing their nation. So the crowd here, the motley crowd which has gathered lots and lots of school children, they'll also be enjoying this performance. The Aussies will be getting ready for the second quarter-final, which will follow shortly after this. But right now, this match is still up for grabs. It's Pakistan who will push things back in this second half, the third quarter. The green shirts, having swapped ends, will be going from left to right, and up against them in orange. The Dutchmen, runners up from 2012, and looking to repeat that performance, but to do that, they will at least have to score one more goal today and not concede any further ones. Joining me once again for this second half, Simon Mason, former GBR goalkeeper. Early pressure here from the Dutch, who are looking to create something of their own, but just couldn't control the ball there.
Yeah, we saw the possession stats at half-time. The Dutch had 78% of the possession, but the problem is Pakistan had slowed the game down, and that means that the Dutch midfield, they can cruise through the spaces. They don't have to run incredibly hard to get to where they need to get to, and it takes away a little bit of the tempo.
Well, this time it's an easy turnover, and the last thing you want to be doing early on when you have the advantage is to hand it right back to the opposition. And eventually Pakistan do well to emerge with the ball. It's Shafqat Rasool. Got some support up front, but lots and lots of distance between him and the lone striker up front, Mohammad Dilbar. As a result, easy possession given away to the Dutch. Robert van der Horst, the captain.
But that lone striker being key, because Pakistan are absolutely prepared at the moment to leave one forward and possibly even two forwards high away from their defence. So defending with 6, 7 and 8 consistently, allowing the Dutch to come onto them, but it's giving them the out ball when they get it back, so they can go to the air and find those attacking channels.
Perhaps a little bit too early to park the bus, as they say, but that might just be somewhere in the region of what Pakistan could choose to do, especially while they have this one goal advantage. And what they look to is to try and hit Netherlands on the counter offensives. This will be a free hit with lots and lots of space to work with. Slapped in with some ferocity and almost a touch on from Ali Shan.
Ali Shan doing exactly what you need to do as a forward in that situation. Got a crash ball in off the angle. He started deep by the far post, led back towards the goal and just hangs a reverse stick out. Any decent contact there, and that's back onto Stockman's goal because his starting position is deep. He accelerates, so he's got body momentum and strength in that touch.
They would have taken inspiration from a couple of goals scored by their South Asian neighbours. India scoring one delightful goal against the Dutch. Their first goal from SV Sunil was a brilliant bit of opportunism. Incidentally, Pakistan have now joined India with 5 goals in this Hero Champions Trophy. So no longer the laggards in terms of least goals scored, which still at the moment that dubious distinction belonging to Germany. But here come Pakistan once again.
And that's sensible from Pakistan, something again we haven't seen from them so far this tournament. Recycling the ball, not forcing it through channels, and then they're able to play the little interchanges.
Ahmad Butt sending this one in and nearly finished off by Dilbar, who was sliding in. Wasn't picked up by the defence.
Once again, and in the highlights packages that we've seen, the ball is in, but the Dutch defence are front marking. Now, Ming van der Ven is so fortunate he's got that touch. I agree in defence you have to front mark in those situations, but he's 3 or 4 metres ahead of his opposite number. And that means that the Pakistani forwards, given that much space, they've only got to move a metre off the defender's shoulder to create a real scoring chance because there's no contact.
Sander Bart. This is well picked up as well, getting himself into a great position to try and finish this off as Krusher. Get some support, but eventually the Pakistan defence regroups. Barring Dilbar, everybody was inside the D at that point of time. Committed defending from the Pakistanis. Once again, the green shirts getting together, gathering inside their D to make sure that there's less space for the Dutch to work with. Long clearance, which will go all the way across to the Dutch side of the half. What would Max Caldas be wondering now? What cards can he play? He has been rotating his players frequently.
I think the key to it is just simply creating that intensity. That's what they have to do. They have to get players like Robert van der Horst, who's been brilliant, outstanding during this competition. It's the running wing-back play, driving with the ball, committing green shirts to the orange shirts, and then popping the ball into space.
And we haven't seen too much of him in this match thus far. We did see him replace Sherman down the right flank on one occasion, but just hasn't seen much of the ball in spite of the overwhelming possession for the Dutch. So the ball rotation has been good, but their key players haven't got to it often enough. And it hasn't been made easy by some very gritty defending from Pakistan. Will this be unlocked this time around? It finds a foot, and that will lead to a free hit for Sander Devine. Allows the captain to take it. Van der Horst. Hertzberger just at the edge of the D.
Since that first goal that Hertzberger scored, he's not featured prominently at all. Picked the ball up once on that long overhead and cut into the circle, but he's just not got his hands on the ball. And I think It's testament to how well Pakistan defended that Imran Butt has had very little to do in the Pakistan goals since he conceded.
Yes, just in every shot that you can see as the camera pans towards the Pakistan side of the pitch, you can see the slew of green shirts, making it very, very difficult. Distinctive, both these jerseys, but this is a superb individual run. Unfortunately, couldn't quite finish off the job. Skipper Robert van der Horst.
Robert van der Horst very unhappy with the decision from Andrew Kennedy. But I would go with Andrew Kennedy completely. It's dribbling along the baseline, nothing wrong with that. But right at the end of this is stick obstruction. There, as Robert van der Horst crabs in down the baseline, he's put his right foot around the ball and stuck his stick away from the ball. That's not stopping to change direction. That's deliberately protecting the ball with the stick.
Sandabart finding a man in space. This is looking promising. Dieter van Puffelen was in there. The man who's just playing his first major FIH event, and his first 2 goals in international hockey have come in the first 2 league games, the pool games that were played by the Dutch, and won quite convincingly, 3-0 against Argentina and then 4-1 against Germany.
And Dutch are cycling the ball through their back 3, round into the corners, try and catch Pakistan out, but Pakistan just getting men across. They're able, because they're so deep, to slide the defence from right to left, stop the Dutch getting anywhere. I think the Dutch need to go one way, probably halfway, then come back again and do that consistently, so Pakistan tire and start to give that extra metre or 2 of space for the Dutch to be able to exploit passes into the circle.
This time comes off the foot of Mohammad Waqas, and also the danger of crowding your defensive third, or defensive quarter in this case, the 25 yards, is that if there's a foot inside the D, then you'll just concede a penalty corner situation, which can be quite dangerous for Pakistan. So they've got to keep that concentration level as high as it has been so far.
They have indeed, and that's going to be the issue, because as they tire, your brain starts thinking about heart and legs and lungs and survival, and you lose the ability to process information to a large extent. When you lose that ability, then the chat starts to drop, you get half a metre off the line to goal, and then these guys are good enough to see that space and to fire balls into the more dangerous areas.
The numbers have been overwhelmingly in favour of Netherlands, still with 78% possession, so the third quarter has begun much like the second quarter finished. More circle penetrations as well, but Pakistan, look at that, 2-on-2. That's a fantastic strike rate, which any coach would be more than proud of, thankful for.
Now Hoffman's just going in a straight line. That's a great goal. Super goal on the far post from Jonker. Hoffman, there was a direct line straight in front of goalkeeper Imran Butt. Pakistan are all slapping themselves and each other in the middle of the circle for letting in such a simple ball.
Jonker's second goal of this Hero Champions Trophy, and it's come at an opportune moment. They needed this goal more than anything else. Imran Butt will be disappointed though.
Not only disappointed, he could possibly have done more by being aware, but it's a dreadful bit of defending in the middle of the circle from Rashid Mahmood. He should have been in the way of Jonker. That's just 2 metres of running he hasn't done. And the Dutch draw level with a relatively straightforward finish.
They have, of course, gone behind before in this quarter-final and came back in roaring fashion 1 quarter after that. This time, one would hope that the response comes a little more swiftly from Pakistan. But you would have to say, Simon, that somewhere you saw this coming, because this third quarter had begun with a number of Netherlands attacks. Somewhere or the other, that concentration lapse that we were talking about just did come against Pakistan, and now they've got to be a little bit more adventurous.
They have got to be a little bit more adventurous, but not much. If you look at that first half, they've just been solid. Only 28% possession. They've just sat back and soaked stuff up, and then they've countered and used their strengths. They've played that one-on-one elimination game that they are so good at and renowned at over the last 50 years. Pakistan, however, have picked up a card. They're then down to 9 outfield players for a horrible tackle in the middle of the pitch.
Jonker now joins Chris Cirello, Jeremy Hayward, Joaquin Menini of Argentina, Alistair Brogdon of England, Florian Fuchs of Germany, and his own teammates, Dieter van Puffelen, as well as Jacob Wetton of Australia, and Mohammad Imran as scorers of 2 goals in this Hero Champions Trophy. So it has seen a bit of a goal fest. 4 goals already today, 13th match in all. And the goal count going up to 57. So they're doing quite well on that count. We've been lucky to witness some terrific entertainment. Confirmation of a green card which was given to Ali Shan, and this has been another factor of particularly Pakistan's play in the second quarter as well. Numerous cards which were given away.
Yeah, and they that may be a penalty that they pay late on in the game as the ball comes into the D.
Yeah, it is Hele Khalima doing very well, almost turning it back. Crucial intervention to begin with. Slap comes in. Oh, and nearly deflected goalwards. This could have gone anywhere, really.
It could. Kemperman decides to actually hit it into the circle from the edge of the D. He's not inside the circle when he hits it, but as it goes past, there is a chance for it to be tipped in. It's outside, just beyond that white line. That would, however, I think have been given, and the ball stays happily in the fence behind the goal.
Some anxious moments in this third quarter. Pakistan will be quite eager to see this off without any further damage and to reassess what has been in evidence even in their last pool match against Australia. This four-quarter format possibly working out in their favour because they do tend to come back rejuvenated. Although in this case, this third quarter hasn't begun very well for them. This is a good bustling run and a penalty corner to finish off. This is where Pakistan have been performing very well, but the error comes in and now there will be an opportunity for the Dutch.
Robert van der Horst in the tackle. There's contact in the tackle. He drives in here down the baseline. That's shoulder to shoulder or head to head. Certainly he's taken a blow onto his temple. Nothing malicious about it at all because Rizwan Senior is looking at the ball completely. But yeah, that head-to-head contact he knows about.
And however, they don't have Mink van der Weerden at the moment on the pitch, which will mean that it will have to be one of Martin, Havenga or Jeroen Hertzberger. Might even go for a variation if they can. The injection will come in from the skipper. Van der Horst, it is Hertzberger, goes for it. Well saved. The man at the post deflecting it on. Oh, and then a backstick attempt. Yet again, Imran Butt standing firm.
Yeah, that's two great bits of goalkeeping and one superb bit of team defence.
Still with Dutch possession, Havenga spreads it out to the right. It's been sent in, but committed defending allows the ball to come away. Breakaway for Umar Bhutta. Bhutta doesn't have too many options. Only Dilbar making a run up front. That's why he has to release it at the back for Shafqat.
The penalty corner comes out. Hertzberger goes straight down Imran Butt's right foot. It's a good save, and that's a great bit of team defence from Tusik. Sweep the ball away. And this is a lovely left foot extension save.
Jekyll and Hyde at times, but that was the better bit of Imran Butt's goalkeeping. Jonker, a job well done, bringing Netherlands back into this game, which you feel they would have wanted. The longer that Pakistan could have prevented that second goal from Netherlands, the better it would have been in their favour in terms of frustrating the Dutch. But now that the match is back in balance, it is everything to play for yet again. With the possibility, lip-smacking possibility of a fourth quarter ahead, with both these teams tied at 2 apiece.
Yeah, an unusual mistake from Hoffman. He's not been quite as busy as we've seen in some of the other games this tournament, but his vision is exemplary. When he set up that second goal, there was no pressure put in his face, and that's what Pakistan have got to do. The hardest work is actually the 2 or 3 metre side-to-side bouncers when you're in the heart of your own defence to make sure your line to goal is absolutely spot on. If there'd been a Pakistani in Hoffman's face to deny that pass, the goal chance would never have got in front of Imran Butt. But that takes a massive amount of work. It's harder than the long 30-40 metre loping runs that we see the forwards doing, because it's constant movement that threatens, puts pressure on the quads and the hamstrings and the glutes.
And just to finish up that point, if you look at the two teams physically, it would have to be said the Dutch are much bigger in terms of size, and that just gives them a little advantage of reach, both in attack and as well as in defense. So that's where Pakistan will need to do a little bit more running, one would imagine, to match up to the Dutch. Still with them, Martin Havenga, the middle of the pitch. That was Hoffman. He is awaiting this ball to come through to him. Hertzberger just at the edge of the D, cannot retain possession of it. Still with the Dutch though, the captain Van der Horst getting some support here from Kemperman, the 2 FIH World Player of the Year nominees who have had a good Hero Champions Trophy, but will not want the journey to end at the quarter-final stage itself.
And this is the punishing Dutch possession for Pakistan as they just carry the ball forwards. That's poor from Sandabar. He needs to be better than that. That's running a straight line towards the head of the circle and popping a ball straight in at the captain. Butta comes forward, but he has no support. Pakistan just need to link to each other a little bit more as well.
Schumann. Back with Dutch possession. Dutch possession has become pretty much second nature in this game, but it is the conversion which has been better from Pakistan. They will want to have another stab soon. But we are approaching the end of this quarter. Won't be a bad time actually to score for Dutch. And that's what they'll be looking to do here. Down the right. Lots and lots of possession again. Van der Weerden rejoining the game, and Van der Horst with a slightly dodgy bit of work, but able to take it away from Dilbar. Could be the last attack.
And it's last-ditch defence, but it's what the Pakistanis need to do right now.
They can come away with this. Not enough time, perhaps. Maybe one last stab at goal, but they're happy to let this one pass. Mohammad Dilbar is down on the floor, but at the moment that doesn't count because it is the end of the third quarter. After 3 quarters of this first quarter-final, nothing to separate the two teams. It's Netherlands 2, Pakistan 2. And there has also been a yellow card in the middle of all of that with Dilbar going down to ground.
Yeah, and in that counter-attack, Van der Horst running the wrong line. He's held his ground, and there's a shoulder or an elbow. It's interesting. It's been given in the middle of the pitch. There's the contact that we're looking at. Now, to me, that's Sander Bart, who's actually the contact is against, and it's been the card has been given, I think, to Robert Van der Horst. There was a big impact. Sander Bart holding his line.
So that taking place just at the stroke of the end of the third quarter. So the fourth quarter will begin with Max Caldas down to 9 outfield players for his team. And could just lead to a little bit of an advantage for Pakistan. Still 2-all at the moment here at Bhubaneswar. One second half goal thus far, and the umpires haven't had too much to deal with, but right at the stroke of this third quarter ending, there was a card given to Sander Bart.
Yeah, and we saw the impact in the replays, and Max Caldas is going to have to decide and talk to his troops now how much intensity they create.
This was the equalizer, the all-important one. Imran Butt effectively allowing the ball to go under his body, which will disappoint him, but from Netherlands' perspective, just the kind of result they wanted in that quarter for all the effort they put in.
Yeah, and technically as a goalkeeper, that's the last thing you want to do is end up in that Superman position on your front. You want to drop your hips down to create the barrier.
Just to remind you that if this match is tied at the end of the 60 minutes, then we will go through to a shootout. And this is the confirmation of that suspension for Sander Bart.
Yeah, and that's been confirmed as a 10-minute yellow card for deliberate contact in the middle of the pitch. I don't think it was the fact that he stood his ground, but there was a shoulder and a hand that came up in the contact, which was perceived to be dangerous.
Fourth quarter gets underway, and just to remind you that the yellow card, the timing of the suspension is entirely up to the officials, depending on how they perceive that offense to have been. It begins with 5 minutes and can go up to as long as the officials want, which is in this case 10 minutes. So 10 crucial minutes here for the Pakistanis to try and take advantage of that, but it is the Dutch. They're on the move through Robert Kemperman. Gets some support here, looking for a backstick pass, but just cannot find Konstantin Jonker.
Kemperman and Hoffman, men with a huge amount of caps. The commitment from Hoffman into that attack. The Dutch not worrying at all about the man that they are down.
Met 2 times in 2012, also met in the league stages. On that occasion, it was a 3-1 victory for the Dutch. Today, just in a little bit of a soup.
Yeah, and we see the contact. So Sander Bart stood there. He's deliberately stepped into that. There was no need for the forward momentum. He saw the impact coming because Dilbar was running at him. but by raising his hands and stepping up off his toes, that's what made it look so bad and created that 10-minute suspension.
What Pakistan must do is just not get carried away, not think about the fact that they have that man advantage, but make sure that tactically they do make up for what they have on a few occasions. They have let themselves down by giving away cards, so there should be no disciplinary problems of their own. Remember, both teams still have referrals because they haven't taken any as yet. That's why those green dots right next to their name.
What it will enable the Pakistanis to do is play to their strengths. They can continue to defend with the 6 and 7 that they have been doing so far this game, but they can probably throw 2 or 3 men forwards, so that on that counter attack that they've been doing so well, they may well have 2v1s rather than 2v2s.
Mink van der Weyden are we heading for the first shootout of the Hero Champions Trophy. Remember, that'll mean a one-on-one between one of the players as well as the goalkeeper, and 8 seconds to put the ball past the goalkeeper. That is often an exciting bit for the spectators, but from the players' perspective, and surely from the coaching staffs, it's a lottery that they'll do well to avoid.
Yeah, you're right, Dubai, and it's something that the crowds and the spectators have responded incredibly well to since it was brought in as a feature of these international tournaments. Less of a lottery, in my opinion, than the old shootouts of just the flicks from the penalty spot, because the power of these athletes was such that goalkeepers were getting beaten with boring regularity if they were being missed. Whereas now, I think, goalkeepers' union hat on, the goalie comes into it far more, can affect the outcome in far greater and more meaningful way.
This is a good long ball which has been well received. In fact, at the beginning of the year, the Hero Hockey World League finals in Delhi, while Netherlands did go on to win that, they faced New Zealand in the final, who were awesome of the tiebreakers, especially the one that they clinched against Belgium in the quarterfinals was exceptional. Now this is a good ball, and there was the hint of a deflection, but this time Jaap Stockman stood firm.
Well, Stockman was stood up. That hit him more than him getting in the way, but he was aware enough to just move his pads together slightly, and it rattled between his legs, I think, for a minute before it popped free. But it certainly looked like there was a touch in front of him.
We have seen a few goalkeepers getting nutmegged in this Hero Champions Trophy. Now this is a chance. Arsalan Qadir, who's been one of their outstanding outfield players, almost got a great through ball in. Still with Pakistan, just at the edge of the D, needed to move through, but great defending from Jeroen Hertzberger. And here come the Dutch brigade, led of course by that man again, Rogier Hoffman, right at the heart of this attack. On to Robert Kemperman, two of their outstanding players in this game thus far. On to Jonker, one of the goal scorers, the man who got the equalizer, looking to work his magic through, but cannot find the short corner that he was looking for. Let's get a long one instead.
Well, Jonker needing to make a different decision. He was running down an English cul-de-sac at that point. There was absolutely nowhere for him to go. He needed to pull that ball back from outside his reverse onto his back foot and feed it into the circle, similarly as Mahmoud Rashid did a moment ago at the other end, just ran into contact.
Here's Pakistan again. Remember, they still have that advantage and will do for another 5 minutes of this game. That could prove to be pivotal to the overall result. Mohammad Waqas, Umar Bhutta has some space to work with, chooses to go all the way back to Irfan. Irfan looks up, sizes up his options, goes for a long ball, which has been received well here by Umar. He's got Arsalan Qadir to aim for inside the D.
Well, Mink van der Weyden has immediately gone to that. It's accidental contact. This is lovely skill to tuck inside here. As Mink van der Weyden leads, he just puts shoulder in. He has to move in that way. There's nothing malicious about that. That's accidental contact, but Bhutta has gone down hard.
He wouldn't have seen it coming the way that he was turning, his head just smashing straight into Mink van der Weyden's shoulder.
That's a brilliant shot. We have to chuckle. That's epic from the Pakistan coach as he adjusts himself.
I think he's fastening his seat belts because this is going to be a rough ride these last 10 minutes. Here come Pakistan again. Rashid is the man who's looking to send the ball in, get some support as well. Will result in a free hit. So some ceaseless pressure on the Netherlands goal. Can something come out of this? It's a long ball sent in once again by the captain. Pakistan, will they be going in for a referral here? They are convinced about it.
Yeah, he's asking for it. He's asking for dangerous. If it's come up off a Dutch player into the backside of Mohamed Bouta.
Okay. Tres. The Pakistan player says that
So it gets slapped in. The touch there is off a Dutch player. It's off a Dutch player there. All of a sudden, it depends on whose stick it's seen as. If it's seen to be Van Puffelen's stick, then it's crashed into Mohamed Bouta, and that to me is high and is dangerous as it's coming. There's nothing wrong with the slap in, but whose stick does it touch? If it's perceived to be a Dutch stick conclusively, that is a corner. As we see here, super slow-mo, that's a Dutch stick. To me, this is a nailed-on corner.
Yes, the previous replay that you saw in particular was perhaps decisive proof. This one also suggesting that it did come off Van Puffelen's stick. That could well mean a PC here.
Eduardo, it's a penalty corner. They keep their referral.
okay.
Penalty corner, they keep their referral.
Yeah, and you could tell from the teams on the top of the circle there was an expectation that that was going to be given. To spot on appeal from Mohamed Umar Bouta, knowing exactly what had happened in front of him, good awareness of where the ball had come from.
Both outcomes desirable from the Pakistani perspective. Not only do they get this penalty corner, but in a crucial knockout game, they also get to keep their referral. So well done by Umar Bouta. And they have already scored from one PC. It was their skipper who converted. He's on the top of the D as well this time around. Number 7 there, Muhammad Imran. And he's also got some support alongside him in the shape of Muhammad Irfan, number 8. Well-walked variation, outstanding goal from Muhammad Irfan. It's his second in this Hero Champions Trophy, and Pakistan, for the second time, come back and reclaim the lead.
And in the first game against Belgium, they had a spin routine. Irfan this time taking it, Imran taking it round his feet. That's a brilliant delivery off the slip flick. Pretty much unstoppable from Irfan. Imran to Irfan, he picks it back foot, whips it through. Stockman just can't get there. Nothing wrong with what he does, but that's a clever little move from the captain. Commits the number 1 runner, and he is a very, very happy man.
I think he will loosen up that seat belt now, because Pakistan are looking a little bit more comfortable. It's only a goal in it, but remember the fact that Sander Bart is still off the pitch and will be for the next 4 minutes as well. That could prove to be very crucial in the final analysis.
You have to give Pakistan so much credit through their growth through the 3 pool games to get to this point. The Netherlands started this competition like a freight train. They were playing so well. The fluidity, the ability to work together, the little interchanges tore teams apart. Now, however, Pakistan playing to their traditional strengths, counter-attack, win a corner, create some opportunities, not many. Don't need a lot of ball to do it. They've been devastatingly effective when they have got the ball.
This time it's been slipped through. Again, looking for one of the sticks, does find an infringement. Still sitting out, Sander Barton, no doubt feeling a little bit frustrated, itching to get back. Still 3 minutes and 13 seconds or so to go. Whipped in with power by Mink van der Weerden. It is a penalty corner because it just comes off the body there of the defender Ahmad Shakil Butt.
And it's just pure power. Long whip, slingshot, little bit of a bounce that makes it dangerous. Quite sure dangerous to who? Comes off his teammate. There we go. You see on the replay the second phase. There was nothing. I didn't think there was anything wrong with the take. They didn't hit a hand or a foot. But there, it just glances off teammate's body dangerously.
Yes, just that little glancing moment is all that the Dutch might need, because Mink van der Weerden is in business, looking for his 4th goal. Will he go to his favourite top right corner? First runner. Incredible work.
Well, he slipped Van der Weerden his front foot as he plants his front foot. It's gone, but Pakistan are away.
Yes, Mohammad Waqas through on for Arsalan Qadir, looking for that result of their own. They get a penalty corner, end-to-end stuff at the Kalinga Stadium. Pakistan with an opportunity to finish this game off if they can convert this penalty corner.
Well, there's still plenty of time for anything to happen. We go from one end down into the baseline, so there's nothing on. There we go. I'm going to drive that in, manufacture the free hit on Havenga's right foot. Now, can they find something, not to put the game out of reach, but certainly to give the Netherlands a mountain to climb? This is where Van der Veerde plants that left foot and slides, slips away from it, no hint of a foul, and his foot only has to move by 6 inches. Such is the level of detail in what he has to do.
Can they find a fourth here? Yet again, it's the captain, and it's a deflection into the goal! That is beautifully done. Rizwan Senior with the final touch. And this was straight off the training ground routine. Sheikh Shahnaz will be jubilant. He's not showing much emotion, but I can tell you that he must be bursting with excitement inside. What a fight back from Pakistan.
Well, we've already said in commentary that Imran doesn't flick them well, so many himself. He put one underneath Stockman early on in the game. He's drummed one behind his back to create the third goal, and now he's delivered a perfect deflection to come off Irfan. That combination, yet again, we had Imran to Irfan for the flick for goal 3. We've had Imran to Irfan for the deflection for goal 4.
Yes, must correct myself. It wasn't Rizwan Senior. It was, in fact, Mohammad Irfan who was the first to it. But Rizwan also could have finished that off had he been there. However, here come the Dutch. They have run around the baseline, but just run out of space. 7 minutes and 20 seconds separate Pakistan from what will be, thus far, the hugest upset in this Hero Champions Trophy. Mind you, Mace, we have seen a few already.
Well, we have seen a few already, and Dubai, you and I were commentating before this about how the game could go, and I have to say 4-2 with 7 minutes to go to Pakistan wasn't a scoreline that either of us predicted, but it's incredible the level of competence that Pakistan have come to over such a short space of time. There is suddenly a belief and an understanding, and a penalty corner routine that had failed to fire in the pools at all suddenly comes right at a really big time.
Inside 52 minutes, the Dutch have conceded as many goals as they had done in the previous 180 minutes of the Hero Champions Trophy, and they've done that against a team which hasn't as yet had a positive result in its favour. So that just tells you about the unpredictability, but also the quality of this Pakistan team, that they have brought their A game to the table when they needed to.
Yeah, and if you look at the turnover rate, I think that's the most important thing. When Pakistan have got the ball on the relatively few occasions they have, they've just done stuff with it. Now they can throw them forward in attack.
Well, not to disappoint the fans of Belgium, but if Pakistan should go on to win this match, we'll just talk about that after a bit, because this is a reverse attempt, but goes against Umar Bhutta. If Pakistan do go on to win this one, and if Belgium and India goes in India's favour, that sets up the prospect of a mouth-watering semi-final. Old rivals, India-Pakistan, possibly the oldest rivalry in the sport.
Yes, indeed, and you have to marvel at how things change during the course of a tournament. On day one, out of the 4 games, we had European teams winning all 4, and teams from other continents looking distinctly out of it at times. And all of a sudden, we get to this point where, with India beating the Dutch in that last pool game, and then Pakistan now stepping onto the front foot against the Dutch and getting close to a victory here, suddenly the balance swings.
Well, these last 5 minutes will be crucial, because Sander Bart's suspension is also over. So they are back to full strength, and they will be looking to make the most of it here, the Dutch.
Yeah, and the Dutch tactically now do have to do something different. They're going to have to go to either a 3 or 2-man back line, push a 3-man midfield, and probably a 4-man attack, I'd suggest. 1 man standing high and then 3 across the width of the pitch. Take a few more risks on the passes to the space on the 25, and then find those players in the circle.
Just to remind you once again, a minimum of 2 goals to take this to a shootout. Otherwise, Pakistan make it through to the semi-finals, just like they did at the 2012 Champions Trophy in Melbourne. But here come the Dutch, though. Just haven't found that rhythm in this 4th quarter yet, but this is a lovely run coming in. Eventually comes off his foot. Seve Fanas himself allows the Pakistan defence a bit of a reprieve.
And Shakil Butt, in the heart of the Pakistan defence, was in probably the 3rd defensive line as Sevi Banat ran through the first 2, but just wasn't able to find anything in the D.
Rashid Mahmood celebrating his 100th cap. Will he do that with possibly a goal? Well, a victory will do for him. He has the ball yet again. Gets a good pass on the back and also did well earlier on in this move. Almost lost control of the ball but managed to recover. Just suggesting there is something about the Pakistan team today which is much more different from the previous 3 games. They were absolutely annihilated by England in their second pool match. 8-2 it was. One of their worst defeats ever. Incidentally, the worst had come at the hands of the Dutch. 9-2 was their previous worst defeat and still stands as the record in Terrassa in 2006. That, of course, was a first round game, and Netherlands did go on to win that edition of the Champions Trophy. Shafkat Rasool. Shafkat Rasool making sure that he runs down a little bit of the clock as well. So good gamesmanship from the Pakistanis, knowing exactly what they need to do. Just must not let their efforts slacken though, Mace, because 3 minutes is still enough.
Well, if the Dutch were to counter-attack now and get one, then the momentum would shift, and I'm not sure Pakistan, in terms of their mental strength, would really know how to cope with it. They've not played enough big games, but this is exactly what they need to do. It is dull, but it is effective, and Shafkat will happily stand in that bottom corner and dribble until this clock runs out. If he can dribble without losing it for 2 minutes and 40 seconds, he will do so. Kemperman will try and nick it on the backhand. Difficult, though, to effect a tackle without doing what he just did, because you have to reach around on the reverse. You're either going to do that or jab tackle through the legs of your opponent. And if you jab tackle through the legs, all that's going to happen is the ball will go off the sideline. Now that's a better position from Hertzberger, going round on the forehand, forcing the pass, and the Dutch can come away with it.
Not for long, possession given away. It's picked up by Mohammad Irfan.
Great skill
of the last 2 goals, and he really has impressed in this match alongside his captain. The 2 of them have really come up with massive performances just when Pakistan needed it.
Well, this is a great spin there. That movement across Hertzberger is beautiful hand movement. Left hand controls the stick, right hand just pulls it back across the body. Away they go.
Into the last 2 minutes. If they get 1 goal here, that will put it out of issue. Oh, that was an attempt from Rizwan Senior which went blazing across the face of goal, and for a while he just had Stockman hopping.
Well, Rizwan Senior has picked up a man of the match in this tournament already. That is a brilliant bit of attacking play. Stops on a sixpence on a slippery pitch. Great balance and agility to then get the shot away off his back foot.
Just about 90 seconds here. You get the impression Pakistan have made it. Max Caldas earlier did talk about this format and the fact that he was a little concerned about the fact that in spite of topping their pool, Netherlands could be out of business in the quarterfinals. But you've got to feel for Pakistan. They really have come up with a terrific performance, and for the neutral, Mace, Pakistan hockey needed a positive result like this.
Oh, Sheikh Shanaz said at the beginning, this is where their tournament starts. It's important for everybody back home, but his sport in Pakistan is struggling slightly. It's true, their domestic game really isn't going through, well, it's certainly not going upwards, it's going backwards quite quickly. So their team needs to deliver something just to give a little bit of interest back at home.
3 Olympic goals, but none since 1984. 3 Champions Trophy gold medals as well, but none since 1994. So after 20 years, if they can get themselves into a great position, this will only take them through to the semi-final. But what a massive result this is turning out to be. It is going to go in their favor for sure. Less than 30 seconds, not enough time for Netherlands to pump in 2. And this will be by far the biggest upset, and we have had a few in this Hero Champions Trophy already. 59 goals from 13 matches, more than 4.5 a game. This has been received by the Dutch striker Constantijn Jonker, but just couldn't finish off the task. Thanks to a fantastic effort from Imran. But into the last few seconds, it's a huge day for Pakistan hockey as they record their first victory over Netherlands in 16 years in the Champions Trophy. It's finished here at Bhubaneswar. Netherlands 2, Pakistan 4. Grit and character showed aplenty by the Pakistanis, and who can begrudge them this victory, because they have fought like lions.
They have indeed, and it's as if they've won the whole competition, but that's just a step forward. That man has been immense, the captain. He's dictated what's happened in front of him, and all of a sudden it came together. Little links between players, and the coach Sheikh Shanaz, absolutely brilliant, masterminding from the sideline, tactically aware and astute.
Yes, terrific performance to come back from the dead. They were down 2-1 at one stage, but they've managed to pull this off. Netherlands 2, Pakistan 4. Terrific scenes here, terrific scenes from the Pakistan team. As the coach said, and prophetically said so, the tournament has just begun.
Well, it has indeed, and they've just delivered the simple things well. They've played to their strengths. Quite often a team, when they're faced with adversity, will try and do something different. I'm not sure there was anything different they could do. They just had to get the understanding to build over the course of those 3 pool games and get to here where they went, okay, we're going to have to defend deep, but when we get the ball, we can attack. We trust our forward skills and our corner routine, and look what's happened.
Terrific industry, lots and lots of effort, lion-hearted effort from all their players, and no little skill. That leads to what has been by far the upset of the tournament thus far in this Hero Champions Trophy. Netherlands set it all rolling with an early goal. The 5th-minute goal from Jeroen Hertzberger suggested that it could be a little bit one-sided, perhaps even. But after that, Pakistan fought back massively. Max Caldas will have to now fight for minor placements. The best that they can finish is 5th, and they will not be too pleased about that. Pakistan with 2 goals inside the first half itself. Half-time score was 2-1 in their favour, and they've only gone on to double it thanks to some terrific work from penalty corners. 3 penalty corners which were converted by them. These are the highlights of the second half, with Konstantin Jonker bringing his team back.
Yeah, it was an easy ball in from Hoffman. He had so much space to find Jonker in the heart of the circle, but Pakistan then, with a corner routine, lovely little touch behind for Irfan to deliver a rasping flick past Stockman's left hand. It drew the first runner, so there was no chance of getting across the pitch, and then all of a sudden the same combination, long drag underneath, somehow Irfan managing to get his body out of the way. The grip tucks underneath him, he gets the shaft of the stick to deflect it into the goal. Stockman with nothing that he could do at all for that 4th goal.
Massive performance and a masterclass in terms of the penalty corner conversion from Pakistan, which is what you'll see. 3 on 3 and 5 shots, out of which they've got 4 goals. Oh, these must be numbers which will warm the cockles of the heart of any coach, least of all Sheikh Shanaz. Just 37% possession in the opposition half, but yet they matched Netherlands almost in terms of circle penetrations, just 1 more for the Dutch. And what turned out to be critical for Netherlands was that 1 yellow card that they got for 10 minutes. And those 3 on 3 penalty corners. Netherlands, in comparison, in spite of having Mink van der Weerden getting just 1 penalty corner. Well, let's go down now to the post-match presentation with Michael Absalom.
Well, there we go. What about that? That's our first quarter-final. What do we think about that, Bhubaneswar? Right then, ladies and gentlemen, it is time for the official Hero Man of the Match presentation. Alongside me, I have Ken Reid, who is from the FIH, the International Hockey Federation, and from Pakistan. He played his socks off there. Our man of the match today is Mohammed Imran, the captain. Congratulations to Pakistan, going on and winning that game by 4 goals to 2. Another semi-final like you did in Melbourne 2 years ago. You must be feeling great.
Yeah, it was really good for us because we are losing in 3 matches. But I think I believe on my team and I believe on my coaches. They gave us a very good plan, and the boys are really played good. Holland is a good side, but I think it's today we did a great job, and we play as a team and on our efforts. So I thankful to the Indian crowds. They support Pakistan hockey team. Thank you.
We've got your coach here as well, who masterminded that last performance. You said it was a turning point of your tournament, and this is where your tournament begins.
That's why I told you in the post statement that our tournament is starting there. Because on the home, I promised to my nation that we will be, inshallah ta'ala, among the 4. And we did it, that. I'm thankful to my mighty Allah and my people of Pakistan who pray for me and for my team,
Congratulations, you're through to the semi-finals.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Shabash Pakistan is all that we can say. Terrific performance today, coming back from a couple of precarious positions, and they have effectively booked the first berth in the final for Simon. Who would have thought that? And perhaps it sets the tone for what could be a hugely unpredictable, very, very enjoyable day of quarterfinals.
Yes, indeed, and we heard 2 things there. One was just a comment about belief in the team from the captain, belief in what they were doing and belief in their coach, and they delivered that. And the fact the coach suggested, my people, this is all about the game, not just here, but back home in Pakistan.
Yes, a huge result for Pakistan. But what else lies in the mix? Let's take a look. 1:45 p.m. local time. That's a little under 40 minutes from now. It's going to be Argentina against Australia. Again, two teams. Australia haven't really turned up in full force as yet in this Hero Champions Trophy. Is today going to be the day? But Argentina, meanwhile, are playing some sublime hockey, especially in the last couple of games. England, Germany, and Belgium, India will finish up the quarterfinal lineup. But Argentina, Australia is coming up in just a short while from now. Make sure that you join us for that, because